We are all in for a treat right now. Good morning to you. It's Daybreak at I-Fiber One. Got an email early this morning from Chief Fire District 4, Bob Burbridge. He says, you got time for a visitor today? And I says, Chief, for you? No. For anybody else, I got a ton of time. No, how you doing? Good morning.
Yeah, I had to beat on the door twice. All right, let him
Friday
in.
morning, Friday the 13th, and you heard Jeremy Hicks on earlier, and he says, I want my time too. So what's going on?
I have a couple stories.
Okay.
Fire is huge in the news.
Yeah.
Today you were just down in Sacramento, so I'm sure
Still quite
you can
dry.
just absolutely envision what's going on.
Yeah.
And the level of impact in California is just unfathomable. And I live down there.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up as a child watching the fires in the hills, and always wondered, hey, Mom, Dad, is this gonna, come down and get us? And thankfully in Ventura, LA County line, it never did. But yeah, that's all changed in 40 years.
It's really scary to see the images of the next day, when the sun rises.
Yeah, when you look at the map and you go, well, the ocean can stop the fire.
It's a big one.
That's crazy.
The kind of drone footage of a week ago or 3 weeks ago over a neighborhood, and that same exact drone shot.
Yes, I saw that.
Where it's rows of houses.
100% gone. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Crews coming down from DNR here in the States.
Yes, we talked with a crew yesterday. They stopped into our station, and they had 5 teams of leadership going down along with the brush engines. So, yeah, a lot of resources are going down to help us. And we did about, 8 years ago, California tapped into Washington. And that was expensive for them. And we never thought that would happen again. And here we are going back to California.
Wow. This is just one of the ways it shows that regardless of state, of district, of county, of whatever, fire crews work together, and there's continuing efforts to bring Mason County all together.
And that's my message. We had one incident yesterday where all these partners came together. It came in as a house fire, and to the occupants, it was their house. But when we arrived, for those that are enjoying the evolution of tiny homes, in October of last year, a couple by the name of Marion and Chris Dyer, and they gave me permission to share their story, was a 700 by 300 commercial building, and they were actively building their house within a structure, so a structure within a structure. Well, this metal pole barn was their manufacturing. It was going to be their new residence, and it was the model showroom for their tiny homes. And they had completions ready to be delivered, and they have orders. And sadly, they had a fire that a tremendous amount of heat damage. Just about everything from waist level up is melted or damaged, smoke damage or heat damage. And we all have to make choices. And when they started their business, they poured everything they had into their manufacturing, and the insurance was for liability, not necessarily content. And they had their family show up immediately to start the process of seeing what they have left. The crews did a great job. The building held a tremendous amount of heat, and it hung in there for a long time. And the good news was we were able to get there at the right time, get minimal water on the fire, and get it out, and then starts the investigation and kind of the recovery side of things. And I just had the most wonderful conversation with Marion and her story on how they ended up in Mason County. And I said, let's see if we can keep that dream going. This is a couple that has, poured their heart and their soul into it. They're in our community, and reached out to the Chamber of Commerce. They're not members of the chamber, but my plan is to touch base with the Builders Association. I really think that with a little bit of product and even some borrowed tools and equipment, that I think they can keep and honor their orders and keep their business up and coming. How that pans out, I don't know. I'm going to touch base with them later today just to see how day 2 was. But yeah, that That was sad.
Yeah.
That was sad. People are trying really hard to make
Hopes
a go
and
at it.
dreams and futures.
And I
all
have a
that.
small, I have a small love for tiny homes. I know I haven't been to an expo yet. I haven't been in a tiny home, but I find myself up on channel 352 at 3 o'clock in the morning
Watching them.
watching them. Yeah,
Man,
it's like,
maybe that would be
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I could live small. Yeah.
Very neat. Tell me also about the efforts, Jeremy Hicks from North Mason. I've got plans to have Chief Bakken in before he gets ready for his opioid conversations up in the north area. But you guys are working together closer and closer than ever before now, right?
Yes, absolute credit to Chief Bakken. Bo chartered the Chiefs Association in a very eloquent letter that articulates how we all, as fire districts in this county, we go to incidents and we don't necessarily use the same language. We can, and I equivalate that to different dialects in the same language, that you can get through, you can kind of figure out, but is it clear, concise communications that reduces the radio fat, you know? So what we can do in a very short amount of words, get the same message across, that there is no question. So what Bo did was approach the chiefs, and we have consensus in the Chiefs Association, we have consensus in the Fire Commissioners Association. Everybody's approved it, voted on it, went to committee. We looked at multiple systems, multiple languages or dialects, if you will, and we all agreed. So it's like, this is our path. So tonight, if the Farmer's Almanac says this is the luckiest day of the year,
Yeah.
this is the start of phase 1 of basic training for this particular program within the Incident Command System that we're starting tonight. So Bo's going to have a full house tonight.
What would be some of the phrases that Fire District 4 uses, and the counterpart to that from a North Mason perspective? What would you say over the radio that your crew would know, and the other crews would get a sense but not 100% sure?
When you pull up your engine at a fire scene, you can park it, you can be at level 1, you can arrive, you can be at scene. You know,
okay.
And just those terms to a firefighter could mean 100 feet difference from a house, from a driveway, from the pavement. They all mean something to that home agency, but collectively to park or to be at level 1 or to be at arriving or to be at staging, really and truly, if you were to have someone write down what does that mean to you, you would get 4 different answers on where does that vehicle actually pull the air brake and park.
Huh.
And that's what we're going to fix.
Is this kind of just perhaps in fire training at the beginning in the academy, you guys were all taught these phrases, and over time it has just kind of evolved into best practices for the specific department?
Sadly, best practices come out of firefighter death reports.
Okay.
And that's where we learn a lot of what went wrong, what went horribly wrong, what went right. There's a lot of times people just, from your perspective, what was your training, what was your instruction, what was your understanding? And that's a ridiculous amount of firefighters die because of just the understanding of radio communications, what the message was, what the conditions were. You know, where is the fire? Is it above you? Or is it below you? Did anybody check?
Wow.
And the law says we get to, we're responsible for that.
Yeah.
To understand that.
So all the Chiefs Association or the commissioners have come up with a list of words or phrases?
We chose a program.
Okay.
And that program is what we're starting tonight.
Wow.
And it's regional. It's widely used. And the disconnect is the federal government says we shall use incident command system. Nobody says how. So the feds say what you have to do. They don't necessarily give you the how. Same thing in emergency management. You have to, but how do you get all the way to recovery. Some of that is proprietary, and governments have to pay dearly for best practices. Let me give you an analogy. I think Starbucks has done a fantastic job in training Americans, and well, they're worldwide
Everywhere.
now. Everywhere.
Everybody.
Let's go to Starbucks and
Even
order.
non-Starbucks drinkers
Yeah,
know how to do
right,
this.
right. So you walk into Starbucks, and I say, "Good morning," and what can I get you? And you would say, I would like something hot to drink.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. We have coffee, we have tea, we have all this. What would you like?
So something hot.
Something hot. Okay. Well, would you like coffee or
Coffee.
tea?
Give me
Coffee.
a coffee.
Coffee. Okay. Well, let's start with, would you like a small, medium, grande, venti?
Uh-huh.
So what size coffee would you like?
Well, we'll have a medium coffee.
A medium coffee. Okay. So we'll get a medium coffee. And would you like anything in your coffee?
No.
No. So you would like black coffee.
Black coffee.
Okay.
Black as night.
Okay. Any sugar?
No sugars.
No sugar. Okay. Would you like us to prepare this coffee, or would you like our Sumatra or our Pike's Place Market on tap?
What are all these questions? Is
Yeah.
this really what you go through when you go to
Yeah,
these places?
yeah,
I
sometimes.
haven't been to a coffee shop in a long time. I mean, he goes, I'll take the Sumatra.
The Sumatra. So if you went up and I said good morning, and you said, I'd like a medium Sumatra on tap, would the people all in line behind you appreciate clear,
they'd all
concise
love it.
communications
Yeah, they'd love it.
that you're in and you're out?
Interesting.
And that's a very small sample of how radio fat can just wreck a radio channel. That if we can learn to order a medium black coffee, maybe leave me a little room for cream,
Yeah.
but if we can just say what we want, as opposed to having a dialogue to be clear between each other, the people behind us would be very happy.
And a lot of these, to try to correlate it with the fire, a lot of these orders at coffee are the same every day.
Yes.
Where I would imagine rolling up on a scene would start similarly to most fire calls.
Yes. We go in with a mindset of pre-planning, and that pre-planning is weather, time, size of building, type of building, so in our training, in our tabletops, how do we approach a residential fire? How do we approach a residential fire with exposures on each side? How do we approach a commercial fire? So there's a lot that you go into. Now you have to take all those factors and prioritize what's important now.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, that sounds like good work starting to be done tonight.
It is. It is. I'm so proud of our fire service in this county. We have come a long way in the last few years on getting together and doing the right thing all together.
Well, when you see a fire person out there today or over the weekend, thank them for the good work they do, and let them know that you heard about the changes, and that's great news that everybody's communicating together. And if you see Bob walking around, make sure you say, "Hey, that's a nice haircut."
Is that a bit head?
Not anymore. You look good, Bob.
Hey,
Looking
have a
good.
great Friday the 13th.
You have a great day as well.
All right.